Good day and welcome to the Life Connected podcast. This podcast is all about life in Celina, Texas, and what a great life it is because of the great people who make up this place. And I am so excited today to welcome to our Life Connected podcast, Pastor Isiah Moore from St. Philip Church here in Celina. Pastor Moore has been in Celina since 1989. He's seen a lot, he's experienced a lot, and it's our job today to climb inside his head, inside his heart, and hear some of those great stories about Pastor Isiah Moore and his time here. So Pastor, we welcome you. Thank you for being a part of this with us.
Glad to be here.
It's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about something we both share a passion for, and that is this city we love, Celina, Texas. You came here in 1989. So much stuff going on at that time, but it was long before the explosion of growth that we see today. Do you remember back to 89? What were your first impressions of this place and maybe some of the hooks that held you, kept you here? What was it like then and now?
Well, coming to Celina had to do with with being called to pastor the church. I remember my wife and I were riding down Preston Road, coming to 289, mostly at that time, two-lane highway. Yeah. One going and one coming.
Wow.
And when we got to Celina, there was a sign that says population. The population said 1,500. And I said, oh, okay. I guess that the churches, we can handle 1,500 population for a city. That means we got about 3 members, so I can handle that. So, but it was like 1,500 there, and we were excited to come. And I was here. My coming to Celina was all about God's call. It was not about anything else. It was just about the fact that God sent me here. Yeah. And knowing that he sent me here, I had idea that I did not have an idea of exactly what was going to happen. But I know I was here on his mission and not mine. Mm. And I can add to that by saying there are many times I was trying to get out of here. and God, things would come up and to let me know, no, this is it. This is what you here. I'm placing you here. But Celina was, like I said, it was a small community. Shreveport, Louisiana is where I grew up, and it's a much larger place. But coming to Celina, it was a small city. But I had my first pastorate was in Van Alstyne, Texas. So Van Alstyne is much smaller than Celina. So I knew had an idea. I spent 4 years there, and I had an idea as to how to approach a smaller city, a city like Celina being a rural town, mm-hmm. Still farming community. But it was interesting because it was a challenge still to really find out the things that I needed to know, I should know that I didn't know. So Celina was a challenge.
You talked about the size of the place, that 2-lane road, and I can't imagine what that would be like today. Sometimes Preston Road feels like a 2-lane road, the way it crawls. You talked about the place. What about the people? Who did you meet when you got here? What was the makeup of the city then?
That was everyone here probably in Celina knows Corbett Howard. Yes. Corbett Howard's son was son-in-law rather, was a police officer. And there was a chief here, and I can't remember who the chief name, but eventually his son-in-law became the chief of police. And he was the one who came and approached me to ask me would I be the chaplain for the department. And I got asked also by Corbett and the team that they had to become a part of the planning of the community and to keep regarding how to view what was happening on the American black end of the community and how that relationship was going to work out. There were some grievances and all kinds of things, but the people in general wanted to work with each other. Or, a matter of fact, a lot of the interracial relationship in Celina was off the chart. There were mixed families all over the place, which was unique for me to see because I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, and Louisiana was still some Jim Crow going on down there when I left there. So it was just totally different to walk into a city that's in the middle of Texas And there are some cities around Texas that had some things going on the racial level too. But Celina seemed to had a heart and an idea to battle against that. People were really genuinely wanting to know each other, mix with each other, and be friends. There was a lot of friendships and families, even though at times things would erupt and there'd be some negative things, but they always seemed to had a desire to work it out. That was what was a unique thing, to have people willing to work things out and not willing to say, you on that side, we're on this side, stay away, you stay away. And that was not the nature and character. There was a willingness here, a genuinely heartfelt willingness to want to really care for each other and underneath. And even though some people did it out of sight to care for each other, there's no way to hide that. That's going to come to the surface eventually. And that's what was challenging and exciting and still is about Celina. That's the possibility is so great right here. Awesome. To be the America that America needs to see. We can be a model city, an America that America needs to see, that the principles and values of our Constitution of the United States of America and that vision can be real and achieved.
That's so incredible.
Yeah.
You're crawling up on 40 years in Celina, and now here we are as a city in the 150th, the sesquicentennial year. How does it look how does it feel when you look back across that city you first knew in the 80s compared to the city you know now in this 150th year, nearly 40 years of watching carefully and being involved? How does it feel?
It feels good. It's like, wow, I see where we are. I know what it was. And the excitement is, boy, I wonder what's tomorrow gonna bring. It's not like what's 50 years from now, what's 20 years from now is gonna bring. It's like, what's gonna happen in Celina tomorrow? Something is gonna happen. It's the city where something is probably going to be an exciting thing. Celina is right now the city that you're listening to. Is something going on the news? Is something going on in the city? Who's having a great day and who's having a bad day? Yeah. And we're at the point now where we can hear all of that. It's not hidden. You're going to know if something's going on. And I'm going to give a shout out to our emergency service people are fantastic. Yes. And a lot of things don't necessarily make it to the public, but they are doing a lot of things to keep us safe. And I have to say that because I love our police department, I love our fire department. Yes. They are stellar, upfront, good people, and the citizens need to know that they've got the best, okay?
Yeah, in 15 years I've lived here, I don't think I've ever been to any event that honored police or fire where I didn't see you there. That love is evident. You don't just say it, you live it. And I just admire you for that. I wanted to put your hat on as pastor of St. Philip for a little bit. St. Philip Church has been a spiritual anchor in Celina for generations, through the toughest of times, through the best of times. And you've seen it in weeks where you experience both in 1 week, best of times and worst of times, my guess. How has the church's role within the city evolved in the time you've been here?
Well, first of all, let me say that no church is anything, no institution is anything without the nature and character of the heart of the people.
Yes, sir.
So the people who attend St. Philip, we are a biracial church. Ever since I've been here, that we've had, it's been triple racial, whatever.
That's right.
It hasn't been a black church. It is called a black church, but it's not a black church. It is a church that has black people, white people, culturally diverse, and that has opened the mind and eye of the people who love their community. The people at the church are proud of their city. They know that there are things are wrong. They've experienced things that were wrong or biased. But the thing is, they've never not loved their city. And I think it's the undertone of the unity that has been brought about in the civic area, especially in school system. The football and all of this. These kids know each other. They come from preschool.
Yes.
And they've grown up together. They walk together. They play together. They know each other in and out. And it's the spirit. I've never met anyone that said that they weren't proud of where they were from, that they grew up here. I have not met anybody as of yet at the church who said that they hate their city, they love this. They love Celina. And the church they have not failed to want to know. And once about their city, we organized the church in a way. When I came here, we started to organize in a way where we wanted to be a part of what was going on downtown. We let it be known. We had members of the church, a woman named, everybody knows Ernestine Jones. They probably do in the city. Everybody knew Miss Larissa Varner. They knew Way Willard. They knew Dillard and Jeanette Harrell. All of these people were, at their time, movers and shakers in that particular community who ventured out to find out what does the city have for us. And they went out and they learned and they got to know city fathers, they knew the leaders in the community, the city council, and they began to talk. And nothing is greater than having a dialogue, being able to communicate and to share what's happening here and how does that affect us. So the church has always been civic minded, as far as I know, since I've been here. I don't know the previous pastor and how they did that, but I know that the church has always had members who saw the city as an extension of ministry. And so regarding St. Philip, they've done what they could as a church community, but also as a church community who have citizenry who are interested in what's happening around them.
I love it. You've watched Celina grow in these near 4 decades that you've been here. You mentioned the names of some of our pioneer families who had such influence, not just in your church, but in the community and in the city. As you've seen Celina expand, you've watched your church expand. You've watched your church's outreach expand. You've watched your church's influence expand. What has been the most meaningful part of that growth in the context of how it impacts the whole community?
Wanting to be included and having the city to say you are included. That has been the most exciting things. Like I say, I grew up through the 60s, the civil rights movements and all of that. And to have a city that is willing to give, say, we respect you. Mm-hmm. We respect this community. We want to have the input. Many times there were city councilmen, those are planners, the city managers, the door was open to them to come and talk to the people in the community and let them know, answer their questions, and to have in a town like Celina, at the point where it was a small town, mm-hmm. to have city leaders who were willing to expose themselves to possibly even hostile attitudes. But they were brave, they were courageous enough to do it, and the people really respected that because they were really able, and they answered them. They were able to be honest with the city, and that was just a context. That was in a context that was just unusual. I grew up in, like I said, in Shreveport, Louisiana. I marched and Black Power all up and down the streets of Shreveport. We got threatened. People got hurt sometimes. But the thing is to come to a small Texas town, still South, mm-hmm. and to have people with hearts with open doors who wanted to listen is a very impactful thing. And to know that you could go and say, we need to know what you think about this issue. This is an issue for us. What are you going to do about it? And to have them come and to be able to say, if you don't keep your word to us, we're going to be very upset. And we know, it said like this, we know people on Channel 8.
Yeah.
In Dallas. We can contact Channel 8 and we're going to tell them what you did. And to have them to respond and say, you won't have to do that. We're going to keep our word to this community. And they did. So we're happy. Like I say, I can say it over and over again. We have a city and the church and the spiritual and the scriptural part to want to do what is just, right, and fair. That's a part of the book of Proverbs right there at the beginning, is that we ought to want to do, God wants us to do what is just, right, and fair toward each other. And we seem to have a community that hears that, and that's good, and that's possible.
Yes.
And if we keep that open-minded and heart to have to want to do that and listen to each other, communicate with each other, talk to each other, and not just yell and scream and say, I'm mad, then the doors are going to be open.
That's right. We're in a conversation with Pastor Isiah Moore from St. Philip Church in Celina on this edition of the Life Connected podcast. We're so glad you're joining us. I know that you're loving this conversation and learning, like I am, so much about the heartbeat of our past, our present, and the joy of our exciting future as a city. I want to shift from your pastoral role to another pastoral role in your life where you serve in community leadership through your role with the police department. You've served as a chaplain to the police department here for years. I mentioned moments ago, I never go somewhere where there's police activity and you don't show up. It's so powerful. In a tight-knit place like Celina, what does it mean for you personally and as a pastor to be able to support first responders who protect friends and neighbors and do good in our city? What does that mean to you as a pastor to be able to be chaplain for our police?
Now, that's in actuality, that's a deep question there. A lot of thought. It didn't start here. I'll say that first. But it started in my career in Dallas as a firefighter, and eventually being asked to become the assistant chaplain. And this is where I began to learn. I was a minister, had pastored, and I was pastoring St. Philip along the same time that I was still a firefighter in Dallas and chaplain for the Dallas Fire Department. My first 12 years I spent in the field, and the next 10 years I spent on chief staff as the assistant chaplain, and eventually became after the gentleman who was working with me by the name of Denny Burrs retired, and I became the senior chaplain and added 4 other people in my tenure to the department. And while I was doing that, I was asked also, I'd been the chaplain here for a long period of time since '89. Well, not '89, about 3 years after that. Corbett Howard's son-in-law asked me to be the chaplain, and I had been chaplain here while I was still in the field at the city. But coming here, I understood the need that men and women of the police department, fire department, they're in danger. They're in danger more, and I know that danger. I've seen it face to face. I've seen the things that we as human beings can do to each other, and we are very brutal species, and I've seen what that's like, and I've seen police officers break down at incidents and cry like babies. I've seen firemen cry like babies. I've seen them look at the carnage that they have to deal with, and know that I know the value of prayer. I know the value of being there just to be present, to say, I'm here, I'm with you. You don't have to say anything. the chaplaincy is a ministry of presence, and you don't really have to say anything. Sometimes you just want someone to be there, and you learn the value of being there for police officers. You learn the value of being there for even citizens at a scene and a site. For them to see you walk up and say, "I'm with you," to walk up and say, "You're not by yourself. What do you need?" That's what I see regarding the police and emergency service people. First responders have that need, because sometimes the attitude of the citizenry can be cold, because they don't know how to respond. They're affected by it, and they're looking to those people, the first responders, to be the answer. And many times they forget that they're human beings too, and they're not, and may not be the answer at that moment. So someone has to be there to say, let me say it like this: when they call the chaplains, it's already out the box.
Yeah.
It's on the side of can we return from this? And my job is to say, yes, we can. We can return from this.
That's incredible. Thank you for that insight, so deep and so rich, Pastor Isiah. Celina is known as just, maybe your answer this next question may be about your role with the police. It may be Celina in general. But this city is known for being a city where everybody shows up for everybody. Can you share a moment in your time, either as chaplain or as pastor, or just as a resident, where you've just seen that spirit captured?
I'm loving this question, because I got some good stuff.
Come on, bring it.
I got some good stuff. When I was here, first coming here, I don't know, First Baptist Church, they had a young pastor when I first came here. His name was Brian Waits. I don't know if anybody remember Brian Waits, but Brian Waits was a young pastor. And we started talking together, and Brian was as if I knew this guy. He was so comfortable in the hood. I'm saying, like, he come down to the hood, and he was just so comfortable, so real, and the conversations. And I'm saying, man, where I know you from? But Brian Waits was the kind of pastor, and through our collaboration, we were able to bring churches, especially First Baptist and other churches. We did a citywide revival. Wow. We did a citywide revival, and it was kind of like, man, we should do it well, let's try it out. We just have people to come. We may not get a lot of people to come, but we're going to do it at St. Philip. And we couldn't get into place. Wow. St. Philip's we're just a small place, but we right now we're going to grow. We've had a donor. We've got all our architectural work done. We've talked with the city. We've got everything approval. We're looking to build, to add about 12,000 square feet to what we have. And the building we have a couple of years ago, we had a gentleman to call us from Arizona, and said, him and his wife said, and they've been here, and they said, they know me, and I'm gonna just let the bag out. It was my nephew, and he said, "Uncle, God told us to build your church," and he said, "I'm thinking you're gonna need about $1.2 million." I said, "No, nephew." I said, "I'm gonna need at least $1.7 million." He said, "Then we have to give you more money." He said, when we made a pact, we would get all our architecture work, pay for all of that, and then when it's time, they would give the money to do that. So we have that plan is in the plan. But let me get back to Brian Waits. We packed into that church, and it was people standing around the walls who came there for a citywide revival, cross-racial lines. And this was something that I had never witnessed or seen in that light, to look out and to see that the church looked like heaven, because you had all colors, faces, everything. And praise of God was through the roof. Brian did the first citywide revival at St. Philip, and it was just fantastic. Beautiful people talked about it. And then we did what we call a crossing over to Christ concert. And it was with all the teenagers. It was only teenagers and children in the choir. And we did the musician was an assistant pastor at St. Philip, who was an organist. His name was Calvin Barker. And he's deceased and gone on with the Lord. But Calvin got other people in. We had guitarists and everything. And we did a crossing over to Christ concert at First Baptist. And the community was there. And it was just a glorious and fantastic time. I was a singer with, I don't know if many people may not even have heard of Up With People. And if you ever heard of Up With People, I was a soloist with Up With People, which is out of California, but they had all the branches all over in various cities and states. In Shreveport had a Sing Out Shreveport part of Up With People. And I was a lead soloist with them. But we did this crossing over to Christ, and then we did a Easter parade that went through the city, where one of our pastors, his name was James Johnson, carried the cross from downtown on the square. He had a wooden cross that he carried from downtown on the square all the way to St. Philip's Church. And we had an Easter service there where James, ex-soldier, and he was, at the time when he went up on the cross, he stayed on that cross. He was up on the cross, stretched out wide the whole time that service went on. And you could see the sweat and the stuff, but James Johnson did this. And that was the commitment to having a joint Easter worship in Celina. A lot of people may not remember it, but I'll never forget those two events that happened where the people of Celina were there.
They showed up.
They showed up.
That's incredible. And it's so neat, it's so cliche-ish, but I've heard it said you can't have community without unity. And yet I'm hearing you say over near 4 decades that you've been here, you've seen this unique unity despite what may have been going on outside the city walls. But in this town, you've seen that unity. Yeah. What does that do as a springboard as you look forward to Celina's next 150 years? When you think about Celina's growth and Celina's progress and all the changes that are happening, and you came here in a different era, and now we're in a different era, and we're walking into a different era, yet you've said throughout it all, you sense this spirit of unity and showing up. What do you look forward to the most in the next 150 years for our community?
My mother said, I was told that my mother had once said, and my mother passed away when she was 42 from cancer. I was about 10 and a half years old at the time. But my mother said this, and this has to do with what we need, what I hope to see Celina. My mother said that if you give me a child from birth to 6 years old, I'll give you a citizen of the world. That's what she said. Edmund Burke, we've heard the quote from Edmund Burke that says he said, the only thing for evil men to succeed is that good men do nothing. That's a part of there. There are good people here in Celina. This is what, and it would be in these good people who must step out. They are challenged by morality. Their ethics are challenged. Their integrity, and basically what is just doing what is right. I believe in this community, people just want peace. They just want to be able to live their lives, love their families, enjoy their neighbors, and just have this. And that's what I think. And if people won't stand up to do what is godly good, we're going to see evil that we see in Minnesota, that we see in New York, that we see in these places that ought to have learned by now because they have the longest tenure in our country. Boston, Philadelphia, all of these cities that are anchors for America. And if we don't stand up now, we're going to see the same evils that have taken them over overtake our community. I would like to live to see us say no to that, and I think that had a potential happening here. I know a lot of you remember Black Lives, the protest that happened. When that protest, the city fathers were, and the city council was approached by that, and those persons that wanted to do that, George Floyd situation is the anchor for all of that. And that happened where we're in Minnesota up there now. And the basic thing that I don't want to see is us return and allow that type of mentality to take us over. One of the things I was asked to talk to the community about it, and my word to the community then is the same word that I would give to us today. You can allow those people to come in and do their worst and not say nothing, stay at home and be afraid and be cowardly and say, I'm not going out there. I want to leave. Well, I say it like this. You can either die out there or you can die in your home, because that's their intention, is to take you out one way or the other. But what happened in Celina was that people came out, and I heard the stories when they allowed Black Lives Matter, the protests on the square. People came, and I told them, I'm not a Black Lives Matter person. I'm a every life matter person. And I have no idea. I've served my country. I've been a rescue person. I'm not afraid. I'm a servant of the Lord God Almighty, and I'm not afraid of dying. I've been in life and death situations. I know what that's like. I know what that is. And if I was at peace with being ready to die because I was serving to save the property and the lives of people that I don't even know, but God has not allowed me to have fear of death. And I will do whatever it is. But if you're going to stay at home and allow people to tear yourself up, shame on you. And what we saw happen in Celina, they came out and people would say to people, put that down. These are people in the community. And that's what, if you can do that in Celina, you can do that anywhere in America. We can be a model. We can be the vision of America that America needs to see, that people are still in this country who value the founding fathers' vision and the Constitution of this country. We are a constitutional republic. And I can't stand it when they say we're a democracy. We use democratic processes to settle issues, but we're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. And the Constitution never talks about equality. It talks about equal justice. Not equity is the word I want to say. Equity does not appear in the Constitution anywhere. Read it for yourself. That's all I can tell a citizen of this country. Read it for yourself. Equity does not. Those are lies perpetrated by people who are seeking for themselves, power, prestige, wealth, and riches. And they will use you, they will use me, they will stir up whatever they can. And I see in Celina the possibility of being that model, that as I'm trying to think, the founder of Boston, Massachusetts, the preacher, I can't think of his name right now, but we can be the city on the hill. We can still be that light. We don't have to be in Boston. We just have to be Americans. I'm not a black American. I'm an American who is black. You can't be, and we can't have, our community is full of Indian people. You can't be an Indian American. You have to be an American who is Indian. You can't be a Mexican American in Celina. You have to be an American who is Mexican. That's what we have to have. We have to have the unity and the toughness of mind to be Americans first. And then it's okay about what your cultural background is, but you must be an American first.
Thank you. We're with Pastor Isiah Moore, finishing up this time together on our Life Connected podcast. Really have 2 questions left for you, and you're going to get mad at me about this one because it's about a subject you don't like to talk about. It's about you. But I want to ask you this question because it's so important. When you spent almost 4 decades here, and I'm praying you have many more to go, in ministry and leadership in our city, being one of those people who stirs up this unity that you're calling for, what do you hope your legacy will be on this community? What do you want people to remember from your time here in leadership and spiritual leadership and civic leadership? Well, how do you want people to remember Isiah Moore, the pastor?
As you said, wow. I've tried to be along with others. I do not see myself as a single crusader on anything. I'm a good follower. I learned to be a good follower first, because and hope that by following I've learned, especially good leaders. I've tried to pick good leaders for myself, good mentors for myself. And I've always been comfortable following. I like working behind the scene. I'm not a upfront people, but certain things have a way of sticking you, putting you in places that you did not choose for yourself. In Celina's past leadership, regardless of the perspectives on them, individuals they've done well to not forget, and I would say, I try not to forget to see the people. It's not about me. My mom said a citizen of the world. A citizen of the world is a servant. God called me to be a servant. That's the most preeminent, supreme thing that I want to be said about me, that I serve others. It's not along the way, people are going to do things for me too. I understand that, and I know how to receive that. But I want, above all things, as the old people used to say down in the hood, don't let people be better to you than you are to them. And my story is, I want to give. I'm a giver, and I know I'm a giver. I get more joy when I see other people happy. That if you want to see me happy, put me in a situation where I see other people happy, and boy, that's my day.
It's contagious.
It's my day right there. There's nothing, and our city government has had its ups and downs. It's been all around, but when we was it as in a track meeting, when you hit your stride, Celina hasn't hit its stride yet. It's trying to get there, and I know with the present attitude of the people, the present attitude of the individual, when you just come up on to Celina on some of these events that we're having. Just see the people. There are people here who are not even from Celina. Right. Why are they here? Is it just for the entertainment? No. It's why, because Celina is contagious. There's a spirit of love, compassion, comfort that you get by coming to Celina, even for a short period of time, and people are willing to let other people be happy. And that's good, because that's why I thrive. I just love to see people happy.
Well, you've done it well. You've done it well, and I can say as a testament, both working with the city and just as a resident for so many of these years that you've been here, how awesome it's been not just to watch you, but to consider as a resident somebody that sits under you as a leader of our community, a spiritual leader of our community. Last question I have for you. If you could leave one message, perhaps even a blessing for Celina, the Celina of 150 years from today, if you could leave one message or blessing for that Celina, what would it be?
Yeah, well, before I say, I want to say thank you, Mark, and thank you, the City of Celina Marketing Department, you guys, for asking me to do this. I've never done this, and this is an experience for me. And for you to think that I have enough to say that needs to be heard it's overwhelming. And what could I say to Celina? America is hoping, Celina. Don't lose what? Don't lose the vision that you have for yourself. Don't stop doing the things that are causing you to prosper now. Remember that the secret in the past was your desire to do what was just, what was right, and what was fair. And if you're going to succeed in your futures, do not forget that that's a winning principle. Do not forget that if you forget your people, you will forget how to be a city that loves, has hope, and has faith. Keep the faith, keep loving, keep hoping, because along with doing what is just, right, and fair, that's the principle to succeed. That's it.
That's a moment. And that will be played, I can assure you, for many years to come. Pastor Isiah Moore, St. Philip Church, longtime Celina resident, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for not just answering our questions, but for opening up your heart, for being transparent, and for giving everybody who listens or watches this something to think about. It's been a joy having you with us today for Life Connected, a podcast about all things Celina, Texas. We hope that you'll continue to click in to join us from time to time as your time allows. And I hope that we can have Pastor Isiah stop back by occasionally. But again, thank you for joining us today in this sesquicentennial celebration year, Celina's 150th anniversary. Happy birthday, Celina.
Happy birthday.
And keep joining us here on Life Connected.